Hello everybody and welcome to MSP Report. This is Juan Pablo.
This is Stephanie.
And this is Marisol. And today we are glad to show you a special report about education.
This time we are going to show you 3 interviews we record from American native speakers who were visiting Colombia.
Therefore, we went out to a place where Americans meet to ask them what is their opinion about education in the United States.
But before we start, we want to ask you, how much do you know about education in the United States?
Here's some previous knowledge you must have before watching the interviews.
Whenever we talk about education, we are talking about something which is bigger and wider than school. Education is more than writing, reading, and mathematics. When we talk about education, we are definitely talking about the rise of a society and their cultural traits. Thanks to education, the human race is able to recognize themselves as citizens of a community and socialize with others. Education is not a concern just for school. The first education you must receive is at home. And also, the society takes over about educating its individuals.
In the United States, the control of many public functions such as Social Security and education depend on each state government. The federal government doesn't operate public schools. Therefore, each school district is governed by a school board, which is a committee of people elected by the local community or appointed by local government. That school board sets general policies for the school district and ensures that state guidelines are met.
School organization is not far different from Colombian education. Their stages are divided and named according to the age average of their students. Generally, school districts are divided into elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools. Elementary schools are composed of students in kindergarten and grades 1 to 5. Most children attend kindergarten when they are 5 years old. Children begin first grade at the age of 6. Middle school is composed of students in grades 6 to 8, and high school contains grades 9 to 12.
High school students are required to take a wide variety of courses in English, mathematics, science, and social science. But specific knowledge is not the only requirement at school. They may also be required to take a foreign language or physical education. And in order to develop their talents and creativity, they may elect to take music, art, or theater courses.
Higher education refers to study beyond secondary school level and usually assumes that a student has undertaken 13 years of study and has a high school diploma. There are 3 main levels of higher education: undergraduate studies, also known as bachelor's degree, graduate studies, also known as master's degree, and postgraduate studies, also known as doctor's degree.
According to the general standards, once you have reached your higher levels on education, you may access to a successful work and many job opportunities. However, the theoretical knowledge that you learn in school is very different from the labor reality that every students have to face once they apply for a new job. And it makes us wonder, what do people think about the methods that education used to prepare us for life?
Good day. We are on camera with Mauricio. He is an American native speaker talking about his experience about education in the United States. Okay, hello, how are you?
Hello, how are you? I am doing well, thank you.
Please tell us what is your name, sir?
My name is Thomas.
Hi, Thomas. How are you?
Very well.
We are with Alex Forgan. Hi, how are you?
Doing good. How you doing?
How old are you?
I'm 41 years old.
I'm 28 years old.
I'm 28 years old.
Where were you born?
I was born just outside of New York City in Long Island.
I was born here in Colombia, but I was raised in the United States as a baby.
Believe it or not, Colombia.
Okay, where have you lived in the United States?
I have lived in New York, Virginia, and Florida all my life.
Within the United States, I grew up outside Boston, in a small town outside Boston.
I lived, I was here till age 8 months. My father's American, my mother's Colombian. And I lived in Telluride, Colorado, would have been my hometown.
What does education mean to you?
Talking, well, I suppose about education in general, but about higher education, I think the main purpose is to teach students how to think for themselves, how to think independently.
Education is knowledgement and diversity to be able to interact with other people at different levels.
A piece of paper? Well, a diploma to me means a piece of paper, but education, you are as educated as you want to be. You do not need a piece of paper to certify that you are an educated person.
And do you think that education kills creativity?
Well, you can always use your education to be creative, so they can go hand in hand. They don't necessarily have to kill each other.
Yes, I think education does kill creativity because they are always focused in one point of view and not in diversity.
I wouldn't say that it kills creativity. I suppose it could be damaging to creativity if a student becomes too wedded to certain principles that they're taught and the student ceases to think for themselves. But I don't think that's the norm.
What was your best and worst experience at school?
Well, I dropped out of school. I couldn't focus in university. I never liked university.
I think my worst experience, I was a psychology major, and I took one class in which the professor didn't seem to know his material all that well, and sometimes he would get things wrong, he would get mixed up in class, and that was kind of frustrating because it was supposedly a very, very good school, and it was frustrating to find a professor like that. Apart from him, I had very good experiences. Most of the professors not only were good teachers, but befriended the students and wanted to get to know them on a personal level.
Okay.
What do you think that is most important in education? Society, family, students, or teachers?
I think education is more of a personal thing, and I think it is you yourself who is the most important thing within your education.
Students and teachers will always interchange, will come and go. Society will always have a first opinion on what they see. I think parents are very important, family are very important, because they're always there for you through the bad and through the good.
I'm tempted to say that the student has to be responsible for his or her own education, and that's true prior to college, and that's true in college and beyond. You're going to go a lot further educationally if you are self-motivated.
And finally, we want to ask you for a message to students or teachers.
I would say that you do not need a piece of paper to certify that you can do this or you can do that,
that they must enjoy what they do in both aspects. As a student, they must enjoy what they are learning. As a teacher, in what they are teaching. It has to be a joyful experience, an enjoying experience.
Well, I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert in pedagogy, but I think it's important for teachers to try to relate to their students on a personal level. The more trust there is between teachers and students, I think the more opportunity there will be for open and honest learning.
Thanks for sharing your opinion with us.
Okay, so thank you very much for your time, for sharing these experiences with us. We thank you a lot.
Oh, no problem. Thank you very much for having me.
Finally, education goes beyond school. Family is the main source of education.
Family is an unconditional part in a student life because they are his or her support.
On the other hand, government must offer opportunities to the young population.
One of the biggest differences between American education and Colombian education is that the state government sets the policies for each school district.
While in Colombia, those policies are set by the government, and sometimes it is not the best idea.
Politicians don't understand the qualities that a school requires, such as bigger budget, well-prepared teachers, and appropriated areas.
We should reevaluate the management of education, especially those who are in charge of designing the guidelines for school.
Time's over. We will continue the next episode.
Click on like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe and follow us in our social media.
Thanks for watching and have a nice day.
Bye.
Action. Finally, education goes beyond school.
Before we start, we want to ask you, how much do you know about education in the United States? Here's some knowledge.
Hello everybody, welcome to MSP report. This is Juan Pablo.
This is Estefan, and this is Marisol. And today we are glad to show you about
Finally,
offer opportunities to a young population.
finally,
Action.
finally.